Greetings Hex and Counter players to my presentation of Wargame Design Studios Panzer Campaigns Rumyantsev 43, where I'll be having a look at the first turn. In particular, the first turn of a large scenario. For our example, I'll be using Rumyantsev scenario 43070502 Zitadelle, the southern flank German player. The Battle of Kursk in July-August of 1943 took place near Kursk, southwest of Moscow. See Wargame Design Studio Kursk 43. The German offensive was codenamed Operation Zitadelle and led to one of the largest armoured clashes in history, the Battle of Prokhorovka. Rumyantsev 43 includes the southern pincer of Operation Zitadelle, originating from Belgorod. This was conducted by Panzer Army 4 and Army Abteilung-Kampf. The main thrust was tasked to two powerful armoured formations, the 48th Panzer Corps and the 2nd SS Panzer Corps. They had to attack well-prepared and fortified Soviet lines that had been constructed over several months. So here's the full in-game briefing. If you'd like to read it in full, just press pause now. So you've read the briefing, and now we're ready to have a look at the map. There are three versions of Zitadelle, the southern flank. One as the German player versus the AI, Russian player versus AI, and head-to-head. So plenty of wargaming goodness to be had with this particular scenario. I would estimate with 90 turns in this scenario, and let's say you took 2 hours to complete each turn, you're looking at about 180 to 200 hours of wargaming goodness. So let's have a closer look at the map. I'll press Z and remove the unit icons. You can see Belgorod there in the center of the map. If you're roughly familiar with the area, you'll probably know that Kharkov is roughly about 100 miles directly south of Belgorod, and roughly 100 kilometers north is none other than Prokhorovka, the site of the famous tank battle of this particular battle. Looking at the map is probably a first challenge. So what I like to do is look immediately to the front of where my units are going and get a feel for, first off, elevation and plus the obvious challenges, which in these cases are going to be getting through minefields, obstacles, and crossing this river, which is the Donets, I believe. We'll see at various locations along the river there are causeways, and as you'd expect, most of these, in fact I think all the bridges, have been blown. So we need to keep an eye on our bridge building engineers and our engineers generally. Whenever you have a problem in these games, I usually find myself looking to the engineers. They usually provide you with some sort of a solution. So we'll go further up to the north there. Just to give you bearings, here are our northern victory point locations. Notice that we have anti-tank trenches also combined with the minefields as well. So that's another issue we need to keep a close eye on. When planning where I'm roughly going to try and advance through, I personally always like to have a look at the elevations. See, this square here is at 300, 250. But remember, whenever you're attacking uphill, in this particular scenario, it's a 20% penalty. So if we can, we need to find or identify hexes where we may have an advantage, or at least the defenders be at a disadvantage so they're not firing at us with full capacity. So here's one here, elevation 300, the Soviet side's 250. So these are the sort of things I like to look at when I'm first getting a feel for which way I think I'll try and go as far as crossing the anti-tank ditches and negotiating my way around minefields and this type of thing. So if we pull back out again for a moment, so this is the force heading towards the west. Now this western third of the force, they were to protect the northern flank of the main attacking force towards Prokhorovka. So these chaps here were supposed to reach Oboyan. I don't think they got anywhere near there, but I should actually check that up in the history notes. Notice up here, once we start getting around Prokhorovka, there's far more higher hills, 450, 350, so that's 100. In this particular scenario, it only costs 6 movement points per 100 meters of elevation to move. So that's it's not too bad. It's not as bad as some other scenarios that I've seen, and other titles, as a matter of fact. This one's 300 to 350, so that's quite okay. So generally speaking, when I'm defending, I'm looking at high elevations to set my defence up in, or my key points. Every percentage you can get in your favour, whether on attack or defence, you should take advantage of those opportunities as they present. So the idea of this particular video is just to discuss some of the things or techniques you can use, and also some of the problems that are presented. So part of the puzzle you have to sort of try and solve when you're playing these games. So what we might as well do is start down here on the south or the easterly edge of our advance, which, as I mentioned, the main feature is the Donets River, Severny Donets. Okay, go back to Z. So let's start our examination of the map at this location here, opposite the Razumnoy Victory Point location. So before we get too close, we'll go to info. We'll check our last command report, which tells us it's the dawn turn. Turn 1 of 90. Okay, and the other thing we were interested in is the weather. So it's normal conditions, and visibility at dawn is 1 kilometres, of course. 90% chance of normal. And visibility during the daytime of 2 to 4 kilometres. So that sounds pretty good. So we'll have a look at this location here in Solomino. As you can see, our engineer, 92-man engineer unit, has put a bridge into the swamp for us. So that looks all pretty good. So we might do the beginner thing. Easy mistake to make. is we grab this chap here, we put him in transport mode, because you have to be in transport mode to go across a bridge, of course, and we right click and we get unit is blocked by terrain. If you have a look right down in the bottom left hand corner, so you think, oh, that's a real problem, we can't cross. How do we cross into that swamp? Well, it's if you don't know the detail here, we need to put this engineer unit in foot mode. So now he's on foot, and we can actually move out there. So that's an easy one to miss if you're still working out some of the finer details of the game. And also notice that our engineer is happily clearing the obstacles. So in the immediate area we have these three, I guess you could say 4 Soviet units we need to look after. So this one here in the north with the blue facing, this one here, and that one there. So we'll talk about this one here in the moment. So what we want to do is we look at this next pile up, and we want to do the same thing. We want to get our engineer across the bridge here into the swamp, clearing these obstacles so that we can use this roadway once we get it clear of enemy units. So because this chap's going to be next to this Soviet unit, obviously they're going to fire on us. So we obviously need to give this guy a bit of love just to try and keep him a little bit suppressed and a bit quiet. So we can look round, and what do we find? Anything interesting close up? Wow, look at that lovely tiger there. So we might as well move further backwards till we get to our artillery. Control Alt. Right, I suppose we shouldn't use all our artillery just on that chap, because we have a couple of others there. We have this one down here. While we're going, 1, 2, 3 hexes. Yep. So we'll 1, 2. Yep. Okay. So we'll just concentrate on these two for the moment. Right. So we're looking pretty good here. So we can then grab these guys here. I think initially we'll fire those. Disruption, so that's exactly what we've been looking for. So that is a good result. And in fact, what we might do is, so we're going to send one guy across. So this infantry unit here, we might use him for having a shot as well. So far, a good result. So now we'll grab our engineer, put him in transport and foot mode, and move him across. Excellent. Once again, he's clearing obstacles. So this is a bit of a decision for us. I'm a bit of a softie, so I don't like putting my troops into minefields, but so we're not exactly pressed to put him in the minefield, because when you look at this chap here, this Russian disrupted infantry unit, you can see we've isolated him already. So that's going to downgrade his morale by 1 level. So he's going to be easier for us to bump off. So the next couple of turns we'd expect to be rid of him. At this point here we can grab our infantry unit and we could move him into the minefield and we'd have him well and truly surrounded. But what we can do is, if we go up here to this button here, the combined breakdown button, because this is a 700 men unit size, we click that and he divides, so we get them into a smaller group. So then we can put these guys in transport mode because they've got to cross a bridge, and we'll put them on foot because we don't want our trucks to get blown up. We'll move them across. Okay, we lose 6 men. That's better than losing maybe 4 times that if we move the whole 700 across. So this has been quite a satisfactory, I think, first turn, in that we've got some pretty convincing action against this Soviet unit here. So he's not going to last very long in that position there. We've got 2 of our engineers out to start doing clearing these obstacles. Now unfortunately this chap here hasn't had that much love. Oh no, we did fire the Werfers at him, so it's a bit disappointing, because obviously what we'd like to do is maybe do an assault. This guy here, so these 2 guys, we need to give them a bit of love. So we'll just go Z. Now you can see there's no bridges across that part of the river. So this is the one we want with the bridge. I think with this chap here it's quite easy. We just have to grab our 2 guys here, and I think we just try and reduce him. So disruption, so that's quite excellent, but we can't get across there, which is a real blow. So we go back to this one here. Right, so we have engineer, infantry, engineer, and the bridge engineer, plus our fabulous 88, so we might as well shoot that straight up. And we lost a gun. Okay, so we'll give him some artillery. Right. Well, that is a blow, isn't it? Because these guys are only got a range of 2. So can we risk an assault across a bridge with these 2 guys here? So these are the sorts of decisions you have to make. Or do we just blast him? Okay, I'm probably going to go conservative this time. We'll blast him this turn, and then we'll hopefully get him disrupted, and then we'll go for a assault the next turn. disrupted. So that was well, the result we were after at this stage. So in this section here, I think we've done some pretty good work, and this is the sort of questions you need to ask yourself as you progress further up and down the map. So let's have a look to the next section to the north. Our causeway is obviously a pretty good spot to get to. So he's in a trench. We'll give him some artillery action first, I think. Three men. So we've made a bridge across there into a minefield. Certainly we could go into the minefield. So we could grab this chap here, we'll break him down again. 175. So if we move him into there, why doesn't he? Oh, okay, so we'll put him on foot. So why can't he move into there? That's clear. Oh, moving from Zoc to Zoc. So I'm in this Zoc here, that Zoc there. Okay, so I think... right, so we can move that way. Yes, the old Zoc to Zoc sometimes catches you out. So once again, we've got the same idea here. We can then grab our infantry unit, break him down one level, or make up a detachment rather than break him down. We put this guy in foot transport, gets shot at, it gets blown up by the mines. So once again, that simple technique of isolating the enemy unit, and they lose a level of morale. So don't underestimate how much that downgrades the unit once they get into isolation. So at this point we can do the usual. So what we're looking for is isolation. What we're looking for is disruption, of course. So we'll he's taken some punishment, but he hasn't broken yet. So we'll grab another lot of artillery for him. It's a bit disappointing, isn't it? One more then. Right, so I'll leave him for the moment. So we've... Oh, didn't shoot this guy at him. This one. No, he's not going to disrupt. Righty. So going further north, we've got this one. So once again, we've got the same issue. We can move our engineer, or we can move some infantry across the river if we like, but he'll then cop the full brunt of that one. But once again, we can surround him. Well, it seems that way. So let's have a look at that. What range has he got? Oh, excellent. Okay, so we'll... Oh, he's in a bunker as well, so he's going to be very hard to dig out. Let's give it a punt. Whoops. Let's control. Ah, cannot be spotted by subordinate unit. How interesting. Okay, well, what's this one? Engineer. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll break this guy down. We'll move him across to there. We know we're going to take some heat here, but that's just the way it goes. Our infantry here, same deal. Infantry, transport, foot, move them across. Okay, so we took a bit of heat there because we couldn't get enough artillery on him, and this guy is also against this chap here, so he's going to take some heat there, but that's the price we pay for putting this bunker into isolation, which can be easily retrieved by the AI if it wishes to do so, or if it was a human player, I'm sure they would put another Soviet unit there to get them out, if rather than let them be blown up or captured. So at this stage we haven't had much of a chance to use our engineers as far as ferrying goes, which is something, so we'll have a look at around the map for some of that. There were no opportunities to use engineers further down south on the river, so I've now moved up to the units here in the north, which are facing more towards the northeast and Prokhorovka area of the map, our main strike force, heading towards Ternovka. So we'll have a look at those, see what ideas we can come up with. So this recon unit, as some of you will know, there's recon spotting is enabled for recon units, and this confirms that this particular recon unit has that ability. So there's a anti-tank ditch here. You'd have to think there was a Soviet unit here at the bridge. So what I thought I would do is grab our unit here, and I will split him in half and move one into this forest with the hope, oh yes, we still have movement points left, so I'm hoping we might be able to spot him by using recon spotting. So let's see if we can find something. Ah, there we go. So there's a Soviet unit there. Yeah, I thought there'd be one there or there, and the AI, if you like, or the initial setup was clever enough to pick the higher location. So that's quite a good spot there for that unit, in that he protects the access to this bridge, and it's low ground on the approach. So that's quite interesting. What I might try and do with our other, actually I might split him as well. So we'll put this guy in transport mode and see if we can rattle down this road. So if we go to here, we've got we don't have any movement points left. Right, so we can't do any recon spotting as such. So with our other third of our recon unit, we'll try moving down towards that way there, and he uses all his movement points as well, so that's a bit of a shame. I was hoping to get some more recon information out of him. So as you can see, the trench line is up here, so it's pretty good bet that the Soviet units will actually be behind the anti-tank trench, so we're reasonably free to move these guys up. Wow, he got oh, of course. I out-tricked myself there by having that recon unit underneath. Of course, my bigger unit here has to move at the standard rate, the standard forest rate, and of course all the movement points get used up. So that was a bit of a fail on my part. I should have split the unit down to a lower level before I moved off. So that's always something to think about when you are moving up along roads, is it going to block another unit that has larger movement points behind? Like for instance, these track vehicles here, they could have went a lot further up, but now they're a little bit stymied because of this hex here. So there's a lesson on how to do a bad move. This one here is a recon unit. Let's see if we can get him up there. Now, I don't think he's on the road at the moment, is he? No, he's not. So we probably will be better off going to a clear hex than rather than going into that forest hex and paying full price of forest. You're better off paying the full price for clear hex before you move onto a road. So little things like this can get you extra hexes, and it might allow you to see a certain part of the front which you might not otherwise see. So I think I'll move across to here. No, we're still at 37, but we're still too far from the... Okay, 13T, yep, so rather than leave him up there, perhaps I'll... Okay, there we go. We can't move down to there because there's an obstacle. Can't believe we could... So I think we'll leave him there rather than put him against the anti-tank ditch, because I don't want to get him shot up. So other units we have here, we can move up. Here's our engineer. Always good to have. So the question is, where do we want to try and break this anti-tank ditch? So if we go into this hex here where the town is, or the village, we get the 20% protection of the village while we're trying to dig our way through the anti-tank ditch. Although, and he's at 250 meters, that's 250 meters. Okay, so everyone's going to be at the same distance, so that could be an option for our engineers to head towards this village. Although we put him in travel mode, although we're hardly ever on the road. Okay, so I'll take him out of travel mode now. Can we slide in there? Oops, we can, but he gets spotted and it's a minefield, so he's clearing mines. I was hoping to spot those with my reconnaissance units, but never mind. So we look back here, gosh, all the way back here. What are they doing all the way back there? Okay, so once again we're going to have to move them over the clear hexes. and they're not even going to make it. So that's a bit of a blow with the original order of our units. Obviously we prefer to have our recon units up front, because one of the basic principles is that you make contact with the smallest possible force. That way you can dig it out if you have to, or come out backwards, or you reinforce it. So as you see, traffic is an issue. So do we want to move next to the anti-tank ditch? I'm going to say no at the moment. Right, so we'll move along to up here, see if there's anything interesting. Might take my fancy to show you. Another engineer. Another engineer. Right, so with the idea with all these guys, just simply is, if the enemy offers you free terrain, you might as well take it. So there's nothing too scientific, and it's always good to park them in forest and those sorts of things, because you get good defensive characteristics. So here's a reconnaissance unit here. See if we can do it with this guy. 86. Can we get... Okay, so there we go. Can we put him back out of transport? Ooh, okay, and reconnaissance spotting. That's more like it. So you saw how that reconnaissance unit there was able to spot the 2 Soviet units plus all those minefields. So it's always best, if you can, to get those recon units up front. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way. Okay, here's another recon unit. He's probably not going to make it to the road anyway, so we need to get within 2 hexes. I don't know if we'll get a recon spot in, will we? No, we don't. Rightio. Okay, so that'll do for that bit. I think you can see the general principle. If they offer you free territory, you might as well take it. And the other thing to check is your artillery. Make sure it is in range. Oh, there we go. Plenty of range for German artillery. So we can, as you finish this move, if you were doing the whole turn, you'd obviously artillery all these different locations. So let's have a look now for one more spot on the map over towards the west, and we'll see if there has something different over there. So we've moved over towards the west of the map to see what there is to see over here. As you can see, the force was a lot thinner, and these guys were the screening force for the main attack force. So we'll select him. Once again, go for your recon units if you can. Mind you, this is where the anti-tank ditch is, so it's a mile away. But I thought I'd bring this guy up to here, but how's that? We can't actually. I wanted to see if we could see if there's any minefields in there. But as we are so far away from the anti-tank ditch with this chap here, we might as well knock him down, knock out a section, and move him 1 hex in. Oh no, minefields, so that was, or obstacles, that's good news. Now these minefields and that happen on your roads, it's always a good idea, I think, to eventually get your engineers in to clear them. So it looks like down here we're probably not going to get much information out of this early turn. I wonder if our recon units could see. I haven't used my Air Forces yet, so I sometimes leave that a bit late. So let's see what they can see. So I'll pick a spot just behind the anti-tank ditch. Airplane. Oh, they're all strike aircraft. How interesting. Okay, so we can have a lot of fun with those. So, once again, it's nothing too horribly exciting, I don't think. Now, I'm sure some players would say I'm not being aggressive enough, and other players would say I'm being too aggressive, and they'd be right, because they play according to their own sort of patterns and ideas, and that is certainly not such a bad thing either. So this guy is 185, we'll put him in transport. Okay, can't get past these guys. 600. Actually, what I might do is move my engineer forward, because if he does run into a minefield or an obstacle, he can start clearing it. There we go. So he discovered that particular obstacle. So we'll put him out of travel mode. So let's do the same thing sort of with here. This unit here. We'll carve off a section. We'll move him forward. Nope, got all that way up there without having any issues. I was thinking rather than move the engineer forward, we probably should have tried to discover that with the infantry guy and then move the engineer in. So a bit of fine tuning there. So I don't want to move in there just yet. Grab this guy, we'll carve off a section. So at this stage it's probably better to go in. We're going to go into this forest hex. So obviously a forest on foot is more efficient than trying to drive in the forest. Okay, so when you're in these with these vehicles, these motorized vehicles, there's a lot of really good terrain for trucks and things to drive around in, but if you're going to go through forests and that sort of thing, consider going on foot. Okay, so in actual fact there's nothing too exciting here to talk to you about. Probably the most exciting was the reconnaissance vehicles. But I'm not sure if I can get them close enough. 42. Oh, 18. We'll see if we can see anything. No, it didn't activate because it's still 18T. So the cunning scenario designers outfoxed me by having these guys so far back. So usually with these games you run out of troops before you run out of time, so you don't have to be in a hurry. Just generally speaking, it's not a race to win in world record time. You just got to get those victory locations by turn 90, so you don't have to win the scenario in 10 turns. So this guy, we might get a chance. Let's go recon spotting. Oh, well, there you go. He found those 2 minefields, so that was a handy service he did for us. We'll grab this other one. Yeah, I'll put him in T. Which way should we go? I don't think we're going to be able to do much else. Rightio. So, at this stage, I don't think I can really show you much else, and I think we're getting well towards 40 minutes for this particular episode, and I don't think anyone could stand listening to me for more than 40 minutes. So I might sort of pack it in here at this stage. I hope our beginners and maybe intermediate players found something amongst what I've shown you today be of some interest and help your gameplay. The good thing about Panzer campaigns is that it's not a life study like some Gary Grigsby sort of games, but it has enough nuance and enough detail to make it interesting and worthwhile reading the rules. And sometimes even after playing for years you find different aspects and little nuances. So there you go. Okay, well, thanks for watching this episode. I may do another first turn video if I find an interesting scenario which I can discuss some other different aspects. But keep an eye out for free terrain, which the enemy is going to give you, recon spotting, and the concept of reconnaissance, which can be overlooked by players too eager to get into battle. Thanks a lot. Cheers.